Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Brooke tries to court Ridge as Hope lashes out at Carter for his betrayal. Brooke asks Steffi what's going on and tells her to stop at Forrester Creations. They're discontinuing Hope's line before they've even returned for a day. Steffi restates that there is no leadership. With immediate effect, the line is suspended. Hope adds, "Come on, Carter," after saying she's leaving. Ridge tells Carter that he won't have another chance if he leaves. Carter is clearly wanted there, according to Steffi. Hope reminds her partner that they work together. Carter groans, "Don't let them tear us apart." At last, he approaches Hope and apologizes to her. "This is how I make a living. They are my relatives. Love and matrimony, real-life partners of brave and gorgeous stars, photos." Carter is asked by Hope, "So, you're staying?" He apologizes. She must be aware of his devotion for her. She disagrees, saying, "This is just business." She is correct, he argues, particularly for the Forresters. He stole their company by deceiving them. He must remain and put things right. Hope is shocked that he is actually staying. "Honey, there's been so much division," Brooke intervenes and tells her daughter. Hope yells, "You too?" She concludes that saying farewell is the only thing left to do. Carter protests as she leaves, saying, "Goodbye to you too, Carter." Zend and Daphne talk about Carter tearing up the LLC documents in the clothing area. Though he was holding his own, Zend is aware that Carter feels horrible about the coup. Daphne concurs. He is a decent leader and a good man. He is far more deserving than Hope. Zend is aware that her relationship with Carter is genuine and that her intention to become close to him went beyond that. Daphne acknowledges that she was astonished by her feelings. She wanted to return to Paris because of that. Zend reflects, "But I can't. Because of Carter." Will and Elektra share a kiss in the design studio as they talk about his father concealing a killer in his house. Will regrets Luna being on the loose and doesn't know what Bill was thinking. Changing topics, Will claims that Elektra must be overjoyed that her family has regained control of Forrester. Despite her distaste for the way the takeover was treating her family, Elektra has nothing against Carter and Hope because they showed her kindness. Although she doubts it's possible, she hopes they can find a way to collaborate once more. Daphne and Zend are dropping off some accessories, and Elektra and Will are joining them. They guess as to whether the conference taking place upstairs will resolve the difficulties. Will wonders if Hope and Steffi can cooperate with one another. "Have you heard anything about Hope for the future?" asks Elektra. According to Zend, he hasn't. Daphne was the only one who anticipated this. Daphne claims she was aware Carter would change his mind, but she finds it hard to believe Steffi would allow Hope to stay at Forrester. Daphne informs the group that she has personally witnessed the harm caused by Carter's friendship with Hope. He must permanently distance himself from her. Hope lashes out at Carter. Hope lets out a breath and bangs into her cabin. Soon after, Carter shows up and tells her they must speak. She is furious that she has run out of things to say. She lashes out that he picked their side, saying, "You made your choice. You and my mom. You allowed them to evict me." Carter remained to ensure that their accomplishments weren't discarded. He is reminded by Hope that her line is dead. Carter didn't think that would happen. Hope gripes that he watched it happen while standing there. He didn't even defend her. Carter says he can speak out for her if he remains. He has no need to be there. Hope has already said farewell. Carter contends that Steffi's actions were unjust, but they are unable to let that break them. He reminds her of their agreement. Her line was cancelled, but that doesn't change the fact that they fell in love. "Tell me that you get that." Carter confides in Hope at the cabin that his remorse was killing him. Hope gripes that he betrayed her with ease. He did not even defend her. He's standing there at her house, Carter notes. Hope believes he came solely to defend it. She can't believe she believed in him, and she was mistaken about the type of man he is. She can still have faith in him, Carter assures her. She gives a headshake. For her as well, this was a family business. Forrester Creations was built in part by the Logans. That's where she and her line belong. I thought we were a team. We are, Carter says. We were, she responds. Carter, why don't you just forget it? Please ignore that any of this ever occurred. Carter will not abandon hope. Oh, so you're going to leave the company then? She chuckles. She is shocked that he believed their fictitious assurances. Carter acted morally. Hope is furious that talking to her about it first would have been the correct thing to do. She makes fun of him for being so appreciative of another opportunity to spend time with Ridge and Eric. And you want to give me another chance now? All that she sees before her is yet another man who has let her down. What became of standing up for her, her family, and her line? Like a house of cards, Carter folded. She is changing her mind because she believes that he lacks the skills necessary to run a business and, more importantly, to be with her. She put her reputation on the line to stand by him since she thought he was great. She yells, "And you stabbed me in the back." She advises him to leave her alone and go enjoy himself with his selected family. Carter believes that she is hurting, which is why she is saying these things. He refuses to be pushed away by her. It's worth battling for what they have. I won't let it be the end of us, he sobs. I won't. Carter BNB. Steffi informs Brooke in the main office that they cannot allow Hope to try to discredit them once more. Brooke will not justify their actions since they were wrong. However, Steffi's actions are also improper. Brooke needs time to come to terms with what has happened, Eric advises his granddaughter. Brooke desires a private conversation with Ridge. Ridge walks off after telling his father and daughter that they are a team. He cautions Brooke from asking him to reverse Steffi's choice because that's what first led to their predicament. Brooke informs him that she took over as CEO to help restore the company after warning him about the coup. However, the way he turned to Taylor still hurts her. She claims to miss him and is prepared to put it aside. She feels that he also misses her. Although she doesn't want to discuss Steffi at the moment, Brooke tells Ridge that it feels good to see him and Eric back in the office. Ridge claims that he would similarly wish to forget that chapter. Brooke continues talking about how much she misses their time together and how much she misses him. He is now back where he belongs, in his office. She became CEO to support Carter because she was correct about him. Seeing him retreat and approach Taylor directly was painful. In addition to what he stated about her sister. Brooke says she wants to put the hurt and mistrust behind her as she gets closer. You know, I want us to get on with our lives. She asks him if he wants a future with her before moving in for a kiss. And I think you want that too. Her eyes well up with tears as their lips connect. Please come home, I said. I'd like to be your Logan once more. Hope dumps Carter after he picks Forrester over her, and Brooke kisses Ridge and begs for a reunion. Monday, March 24, 2025. Will and Elektra discuss what might happen at the firm today. Brooke tells Ridge that she misses him, and Daphne says she isn't shocked by Carter's response. As Hope cut HFTF, Steffi disparaged her and her fake morals, leaving Carter in a difficult position. Brooke defends HFTF at Forrester, but Steffi maintains that Hope is out and the line is terminated. Hope asks Carter to accompany her as she says she won't be staying for this. Ridge and Eric caution that they have already given him another chance. He will not return if he leaves now. Hope pleads with Carter not to allow them to separate them while he stares. With a sigh, he glances at Hope, then the Forresters, and finally Hope once again. He apologizes to her and claims that they are his family and that this is his source of income. He tells Hope that although Steffi is upset, he must put things right. Hope finds this unbelievable. She assumes there is nothing to say and waves her hands. She says, "Goodbye to you, Carter," and leaves. Carter chases after her. Although Brooke won't justify his daughter's actions, it was still wrong to cancel her line. She requests a private conversation with Ridge. Ridge tells Brooke that Hope will land on their feet after Steffi and Eric file out. She believed they would. She's happy he's returned. He lets out a grunt. She acknowledges that she is upset that he resorted to Taylor so soon, but she is prepared to put it aside because she misses him. She says she misses him and wants to move on from this. Every night when she goes to sleep, she sees his face. She became CEO to help bring him back, and it's fantastic to have him back at his office. Seeing him rush off to Taylor and disparage Hope was painful. She wants to move forward, even though it might be difficult. She presses her face against his, kisses him, and asks if he wants to spend the rest of their lives together. She also asks him to come home so she can be his Logan once again. Will kisses Elektra in the design studio, and they discuss how his father was harboring a murderer at his home. They shift the conversation back to her family's control. Although she detested the takeover, she has nothing against Carter and Hope because they treated her well. If everyone could cooperate, that would be fantastic, but she doesn't think it's feasible. While in control, Zend acknowledges to Daphne that Carter was able to hold his own. Carter is a terrific leader and a good man, she says. He is more deserving than Hope. He recognizes that her relationship with Carter is genuine. Daphne's feelings startle her. She wanted to go back to Paris because of this, but she is unable to do so. Returning the business merely revealed Carter's true nature to her. He is decent and honest. The four of them discuss the changes at the company as Will and Elektra enter with some accessories. Carter should leave Hope and follow his conscience, according to Daphne. Carter chases after Hope as she bursts into the cabin. He maintains that he hasn't deserted her. I want to ensure that what they achieved can continue, he says. She informs him that her career is ended and that her line is dead. He claims that while he is there, he can speak out for her. He is staying for the sake of the business. He insists they can't allow this break them up, even though Hope tells him there's no reason for him to be there. Their possessions surpass their occupations. The cancellation of her line did not end their love, which had begun before to the takeover. She gives a headshake. He claims that because the guilty were eating him alive, he had to return the business. Hope argues that he is merely there to ease his conscience and that he didn't fight for her. She is shocked that she had faith in him. She can still believe, he argues, but Hope clarifies that she and her line belong at the company. They seemed like a team to her. Hope advises him to put all of this behind him. She says all she sees is another disappointment of a man, but Carter wants her to know how much she means to him. He lacks the necessary qualities to be with her. She gives him the order to leave her alone and go back to his chosen family. Carter is certain that she is only in pain, and he won't allow her to shove him away. He will not allow them to end here. Hope's 5 eerie words signaled a drastic change that might change everything, sending shockwaves across Forrester Creations and beyond. Hope, who had been dealing with betrayals, disappointments, and power struggles, finally let her feelings out in a remark that left everyone in shock as tensions reached their climax. In addition to expressing her annoyance, her remark served as a proclamation, a warning, and possibly even a promise of what was to follow. Hope had been feeling more and more confined for weeks. Steffi's constant pressure made it apparent that Hope's position at Forrester Creations was anything but safe, and her relationship with Carter was deteriorating due to his allegiance to the Forresters. Her sense of loneliness was further exacerbated by Brooke's severe critiques and her steadfast conviction that her daughter was making all the wrong decisions. In her personal life, Hope felt alienated, and it was at this desperate and epiphany that she said the words that would change everything. She spoke them, and everyone who heard it fell silent. Carter gazed at her with a mixture of regret and shame after struggling with his own conflicting allegiances. Normally so fast to react, Brooke was momentarily stunned when she realized that she might not be able to save her daughter from the edge this time. Even Steffi, who had been adamant about pushing Hope out, experienced an uneasiness that she couldn't quite explain. None of them had anticipated the future that Hope's 5 words alluded to. Was she abandoning everything she had worked so hard to create? Was it the last time she would have to prove herself to people who would never believe her? Or was this the start of a whole different Hope Logan, one who was prepared to strike back in unexpected ways? It became evident that things would never be the same after the fallout from her startling statement. Everyone else would now have to face the repercussions of Hope's decision. It was unclear whether this was a sign of empowerment or the start of a more serious decline, but one thing was for sure, Hope Logan had just altered the course of events. One of the most divisive characters on The Bold and the Beautiful is Steffy Forrester, who frequently vacillates between the realms of sinner and saint. She is seen by her followers as a strong, self-reliant woman who will stop at nothing to defend her family and make sure Forrester Creations succeeds. She has triumphed over countless obstacles, such as betrayals, heartbreaks, and personal catastrophes, only to come out stronger. She is an astute businesswoman, a loving mother, and a powerful opponent to those who would jeopardize her family's heritage. But to her detractors, Steffy's behavior presents a different image. She has frequently employed power struggles, deceit, and manipulation to achieve her goals. For instance, she has used devious means to discredit Hope Logan at every opportunity due to their long-standing animosity. Steffy has not always been the shining example of morality that she seems to be, whether it was her aggressive attempts to force Hope out of Forrester Creations, her pursuit of Liam Spencer in spite of his connections to Hope, or her readiness to distort the facts to fit her own purposes. The fact that Steffy made it her goal to drive Hope away from Forrester Creations was one of the turning points in her moral dilemma. Steffy deliberately worked behind the scenes to make sure Hope would be evicted, rather than letting her stepbrother Ridge and grandfather Eric decide fairly about Hope's line. Although she may defend her actions as being in the company's best interest, this aggressive power play shown that her tactics were frequently brutal. Steffy's private life is just as convoluted. There have been many love triangles, betrayals, and dubious choices throughout her relationships. She has caused her fair share of pain to others, even if she has also been harmed in the past. Her decision to marry Finn while having feelings for her ex, her romance with Liam while he was with Hope, and her occasionally hypocritical moral judgments of others all demonstrate how complicated her character is. Even with her imperfections, Steffy has occasionally displayed a great deal of compassion and maturity. She has accepted responsibility for some of her past transgressions, forgiven those who have hurt her, and made an effort to prioritize her family going ahead. However, despite her desire for atonement, her aggressive and frequently unyielding strategy for preserving power begs the question, is she genuinely a transformed individual, or will she always fall back on her old habits when she feels threatened? Ultimately, one's viewpoint determines whether Steffy is a saint or a sinner. Because of the fierce rivalries and power struggles that characterize the Forrester family, she is a product of her surroundings. Even while she might think her acts are acceptable, the way they affect people around her shows that she is far from innocent. For better or worse, one thing is certain: as The Bold and the Beautiful develops, Steffy Forrester will always be a formidable presence. Between his indefatigable feelings for Hope Logan and his commitment to Forrester Creations, Carter Walton finds himself in a precarious position. Carter makes a sincere appeal to Hope in an attempt to preserve what little connection they still have as conflicts inside the organization and personal ties grow more strained. He is aware that Hope has been severely wounded by recent betrayals, and he can see the anguish in her eyes as she contemplates abandoning everything she has worked so hard to achieve. Standing in front of Hope, Carter's message is passionate and urgent. He tells her of the legacy she has left behind, the influence she has had on the fashion industry, and the love and imagination she has put into her work. He challenges Hope to reevaluate her choice to quit Forrester Creations, stating that she is a person who does not give up when faced with challenges. He understands that she feels betrayed, but he begs her to see past the grief and consider the wider picture. Hope, however, is resistant to change. She is worn out from fighting too hard for too long and carrying the burden of the recent events. She wonders if remaining would mean giving up her vision, her dignity, and her self-respect. But Carter isn't going to give up on her. He acknowledges that he respects her conviction and courage and promises to support her no matter what she decides. Because he has more faith in her than she does, he is prepared to stand up for her on both a personal and professional level. Carter's appeal gets increasingly intimate as the discussion goes on. He informs Hope that she is an inspiration and not just a designer or a name on a label. He expresses regret for keeping quiet and for not defending her against people who would have undermined her. Although he acknowledges his own errors, he hopes she will see how sincere he is. Hope listens with mixed feelings. Although she values what Carter said, the harm is already done. Will she really reconsider after hearing his plea? Or has she gone too far to turn back? One thing becomes certain as their chat progresses: Carter's remarks have impacted Hope, but it's unclear if they will be sufficient to keep her around. Hope Logan, exhausted and emotionally spent, announces her plan to leave Forrester Creations and their relationship, leaving Carter Walton at a crossroads. Carter, however, is adamant about standing up for what they have created together and will not accept her choice. He thinks their love and business relationship are worth preserving, even though he is aware that Hope is dealing with feelings of betrayal, disappointment, and fatigue. Carter makes a passionate plea, his voice full of conviction and desperation, but Hope remains steadfast in her choice. He insists that they can overcome their obstacles and emerge stronger, refusing to let her leave so easily. He reminds her of all they have in common, the dreams they have created together, and the indisputable bond that remains between them. But Hope is determined. The weight of previous betrayals and the changing dynamics at Forrester Creations overwhelm her. She informs Carter that she must regain her freedom and reshape her career without being constrained by expectations, both personal and otherwise. Carter, however, refutes her claims, refusing to allow fear to control their destiny. He contends that fighting for what they once believed in is something they owe to themselves, and that leaving is not the solution. Their conflicting feelings cause tension to increase. Carter is adamant on keeping her by his side, while Hope is adamant that leaving is what's best for her. Is Carter's refusal to let go a grave mistake? Or is his perception that their story is far from done correct? One thing is clear as their argument erupts: neither of them will emerge from this moment unaltered. As Hope Logan confronts the heartbreaking truth of losing Carter Walton's steadfast support, she finds herself in a state of emotional collapse. Hope finally decided to put her personal independence first after their tense altercation, despite Carter's persistent efforts to save their relationship. But now that Carter is taking a back seat, Hope is left wondering if she made the correct choice or if she unintentionally alienated herself in the process. In the meantime, Elektra is facing her own struggle since she fears losing Will to Luna. Tensions have arisen as a result of Luna's increasing control over Will, making Elektra feel exposed and unsure of her actual position in his life. Elektra finds herself struggling with the idea that the bond she previously had with Will might be evaporating as Luna keeps making her way farther into his world. Daphne is also at a crossroads as a result of these personal issues. She is forced to face up to hard realities that could change the trajectory of her future as fresh information becomes available. The stakes have never been higher for these ladies as they deal with their individual losses and difficulties, and the decisions they make in the days ahead could have a lasting impact on their lives. The relationship between Hope Logan and Carter Walton has devolved into a battlefield where opposing aspirations and ambitions drag them in different directions. As their divergent outlooks on the future begin to damage their relationship, the formerly strong foundation they shared now appears to be in jeopardy. Ever the devoted partner, Carter envisions a stable, respectful, and faithful life. For him and Hope, their relationship is about more than just love. It's about creating a future in which they can both succeed in their personal and professional lives. He believes in the strength of commitment, in enduring life's storms together, and in ensuring that their partnership endures despite all challenges. Carter has a strong desire for stability and dedication, and he is certain that, in spite of the obstacles they encounter along the way, their shared destiny is the one that will lead to their fulfillment. Hope, however, is at a turning point in her life. She used to share Carter's outlook on their future, but recent experiences have made her reevaluate the life she has been leading. She feels burdened by the demands made on her, not only by Carter but also by her family and the Forrester history that hangs over her all the time. Hope longs for more than what Carter imagines because she feels pressured to live up to this ideal of prosperity and perfection. She longs for independence and the opportunity to forge her own path, and she wants to escape the mold that has shaped her life for so thirst. Hope finds herself yearning for a sense of personal fulfillment that she feels is not possible in her life with Carter right now. She wants to rediscover what makes her happy and uncover who she is beyond the roles she has been performing as a spouse, businesswoman, and daughter. Carter's suggestion to advance their relationship, which feels like a logical next step to him but stifling to Hope, brings their divergent ideas to a climax. He envisions a time in the future when their collaboration serves as the cornerstone of their success and they continue to encourage one another's aspirations. Hope, on the other hand, starts to believe that this idea of stability is more of a trap that prevents her from achieving her own goals. She wants to forge her own path in life and not be constrained by her relationship with Carter or by the expectations of her family. The more Carter insists on a future with him at its core, the more Hope distances herself from him, unable to balance his expectations with her own. Both parties experience emotional suffering as a result of their separation. Hope's unwillingness to recognize the possibilities of their future together frustrates Carter, who thinks that if they set their minds to it, they could conquer anything. In addition to being a romantic partner, he hopes to establish a long-term relationship with her as a business partner and support system. Carter saw Hope leaving him as the loss of something valuable, a chance to create a future characterized by love, trust, and mutual aspirations. He is extremely hurt by Hope's rejection of his vision, which he interprets as a rejection of their relationship. In contrast, Hope feels confined and conflicted. Despite her affection for Carter, she feels as though their paths are no longer connected. Every move she makes toward independence feels like a betrayal of their relationship, yet she is unable to ignore her own mounting discontent. She longs for a life that represents not only what is expected of her but also who she really is and what she hopes to accomplish. Hope's wish for change stems from a longing to escape a life that no longer feels genuine, not from a personal rejection of Carter. She views Carter's vision as a kind of emotional captivity, and the more she attempts to escape, the more she understands how firmly they are both bound to a life that no longer works for her. The strain of their work life adds to the emotional burden of their disagreement. Hope battles the pressures of her work, her family's expectations, and her own goals for personal development as she manages her duties at Forrester Creations. The roles she has been asked to play as a businesswoman, a spouse, and a daughter feel stifling, and the continual juggling act wears her out. Carter, on the other hand, keeps doing well in both his personal and professional life because he is sure that their common path would bring them both more success. Their friendship serves as a vital cornerstone in his life, giving him the courage and encouragement he needs to succeed. Both of them are forced to consider if their relationship will survive because of their divergent outlooks on the future. Hope's yearning for autonomy and self-discovery stands in stark contrast to Carter's unshakable faith in stability and dedication. They are at a standstill that neither of them can readily overcome since they both believe their vision is correct. Hope is conflicted between her need for independence and her love for Carter, but she wants to be authentic and work for a future that fulfills her goals. She fears that if she follows her own path, she will lose him, but she also understands that continuing in a relationship that doesn't reflect her ideals will ultimately only result in bitterness and discontent. Carter, however, is torn between his love for Hope and his conviction that stability and commitment are essential to their happiness. As Hope distances herself from him, he becomes increasingly frustrated because he cannot comprehend why she is unable to accept their common goal. Both of them are left wondering about their futures as a result of this emotional struggle. While Hope struggles with the dread of losing Carter and the realization that remaining with him would mean sacrificing her own goals and desires, Carter is left wondering if he can ever help Hope realize the possibilities in their relationship. The stakes are great, and every choice they make feels like a fine balancing act. Hope and Carter must face the challenging issue of whether their future dreams can coexist or if their paths are destined to split as they negotiate the intricate web of emotions and desires that divide them. Ultimately, their divergent ideas symbolize the greater conflict between stability and independence, love and personal fulfillment, and more than just a conflict of wishes. Hope's vision is motivated by the yearning for authenticity and self-actualization, whereas Carter's is based on tradition and stability. They will have to determine whether they can work together or if their differences are too vast to overcome before they can move on. Their tension highlights the long-standing fight between pursuing one's own path and one's heart, and how their conflict is resolved will ultimately define the future of their relationship. Their destinies, sense of self, and understanding of what it means to love and be loved will all be influenced by the resolution of their conflict.